We live in a one-room apartment in Onitsha, me and my cousin, Collins. He wasn't always into that kind of hustle. He used to sell sneakers from Cotonou, cheap ones. Made his small daily bread, always had dust on his jeans, and dreams in his eyes. But poverty has a way of pressing a man's neck until he starts thinking why things are normal. The day Collins bought his first car, a foreign used Benz, was the day I stopped recognizing him. He started wearing gold chains he never used to care about. His phone was always hot. Calls, alerts, girls. And the silence between us grew. But that night was different. I woke up around 3 a.m. to pee in the paint bucket we use. The light was off, but the moon was bright. That's when I heard him. He was whispering. At first I thought he was praying. But the way he said the names chilled me. Mama. Mom. Chichi. Sarah. His voice cracked. Then silence. Then. I can't choose. Not this time. I froze. Those were the names of the 4 women closest to him. Mama, his grandma, the one who raised him. Mom, his mother, who sells tomatoes in the market. Chichi, his only sister, in her final year at UNN. And Sarah, his new wife. They had just done court wedding 3 months ago. When I tried to lie back down, I heard one more thing. Not from him. From under the bed. You must decide before Friday. Or everything ends. I didn't sleep again that night. And that was the beginning. Before Collins changed, before the Benz and the gold, before the quiet phone calls at 3 a.m., there was Jennifer. And the man I knew back then. He was soft-spoken. Always dusty from the road. A hustler, yes, but a simple one. He used to wake up at 5 a.m., carry his bag of sneakers, and head out to the bus stop to try his luck with passengers and conductors. Straight from Cotonou. He would shout, even though half of them were made in Onitsha. He wasn't rich, but he was content until he wasn't. He met Jennifer at a roadside stall where they both used to buy bread and akara. She sold recharge cards from a wooden table beside her aunt's kiosk. Slim, dark-skinned, with the kind of eyes that held patience and mischief all at once. They fell fast. Too fast, maybe. Some nights, I would wake up and find both of them laughing outside our room, legs tangled, dreaming together. She believed in him. Believed in that little sneaker hustle.
Collins, one day we will open a big shop. I will be your manager.
She would tease. He would smile like he believed it, too. But when sales got slow, and debt started chasing him like a hungry dog, something inside him shifted. He started coming home late. Started talking to people I had never seen before. Men with tinted cars and too much perfume. One night, he came back and said, "Bros, that's your moral code, no they put food for table." I laughed, but he didn't. The first sign of change was his new phone. Then came the clothes. Then the silence. Jennifer noticed. She begged. She cried.
Collins, where are you going every night? Who are you becoming?
But he never answered. Just stared at the wall or out the window like he was seeing something we couldn't. Then Jennifer started falling sick. First, it was headaches. Then strange dreams. Then full days where she couldn't speak, like something had locked her mouth. She was too young for that kind of struggle. Too full of life to suddenly dim. One Sunday morning, I found Collins on his knees in the room. Not praying. Just shaking. Whispering something over and over. I didn't know it would be her. I didn't know. I didn't pick her. That was when I knew. He had already done it. The money had come, and Jennifer was the price. After that day, Jennifer kicked the bucket. And Collins. He changed his number. Moved into a new place in Onitsha GRA, far from the people who knew the version of him that still had a soul. He told people to call him Bossy. Started walking like his feet didn't touch the ground. But sometimes, when he thought no one was watching, I would catch him holding her old photo, lips trembling like a boy who missed his mother. I knew then, money didn't fix him. It haunted him. Because the truth is, he got what he wanted. But he also got what he couldn't give back. After Jennifer was gone, Collins got rich. Not just comfortable, rich. The kind of rich that turns boys into bosses. The kind of rich that makes people greet you differently, even if they used to call you boy. I remember the first day I saw his alert. 7.2 million Nigerian nairas. Clean. Dropped in one account. He didn't shout. He didn't even smile. He just stared at the screen and whispered, "It's done." That week, he left ABA and moved to Onitsha GRA, where the rich sleep behind black gates and high walls. He rented a top-floor apartment with marble tiles, chandeliers, and a view of the whole city. I visited him the next weekend. The air in that flat was cold. Not just AC, spiritually cold. It was too quiet. No music. No Jennifer. Collins didn't speak much anymore. He'd sit in his designer robe, legs crossed, scrolling through his multiple phones. One for biz, one for personal, and one he said no one was allowed to touch. He had changed everything. New phone numbers. New friends. New wardrobe. Even his accent had adjusted. He added fake R's and stretched vowels like the Lagos boys do. People now called him Bossy. And he liked it. Money started to show in everything he did. He stopped entering the bank, he sent people. He started carrying wads of cash like handkerchiefs. He paid rent 2 years in advance and tipped the gate man with a bundle of 500 Nigerian nairas notes. He bought a black Benz GLK, paid in full. Put Sarah, his wife, the one he married in court recently, in a separate serviced apartment in Oka, just to give her space. But we all knew he just didn't want her near the shadows that followed him. He opened a boutique, see Empire Streetwear, but never stepped into the shop. Just sent money and told the manager to handle it. He bought land in 3 states. Paid to feature in a music video. Even sponsored a Yohu Empowerment Seminar in Asaba. Yes. You heard right. He had become the kind of person he used to laugh at. But no matter how deep he drowned in luxury, something in him was breaking. At night, he stopped sleeping. Sometimes I'd stay over, and around 2 a.m., I'd hear him pacing. Talking. Whispering. Once, I caught him standing in front of the mirror, shirtless, sweaty, muttering. I didn't choose her. I didn't pick Jennifer. I didn't. He didn't know I was watching. His eyes were wide, like something inside him was refusing to stay still. One night, I found him sitting on the cold kitchen floor, in his Versace robe, holding her photo. It was the old one, Jennifer at the roadside store, smiling while holding a bottle of Fanta. His lips were trembling like a boy who missed his mother. "Do you think she knew?" he asked, voice dry. I didn't reply. He put the photo down, wiped his face with his sleeve, and said, "Sometimes I smell her in my dreams. Sometimes. I hear her walking through this flat." The girls came and went. Light-skinned. Dark-skinned. Loud. Quiet. They dressed in lace and perfume, called him Daddy C, snapped photos in his living room. But none of them could touch him. Not really. Because the version of Collins they were chasing was already gone. He had riches, yes. But peace. No. Because peace doesn't live in rooms paid for with someone else's soul. And now, even with millions in his accounts, I could see it in his eyes. He was scared. Months had passed since that fateful night, the night Collins had sacrificed Jennifer to gain the power and wealth promised by the ritualist. The guilt had simmered beneath the surface, but he pushed it aside, focusing on the money and influence that came pouring in. For a while, it seemed like everything was going according to plan. But deep down, Collins knew it wasn't over. The ritualist had warned him that power always demanded more, and sure enough, another call came. This time, it felt different. It was late in the evening when the ritualist's voice crackled through the phone, cold and demanding. "Collins," he said, his tone more urgent than ever. "I need to see you. Come to me tonight." Collins' stomach tightened. His hands shook slightly as he hung up the phone. What could the ritualist want now? He thought he had paid the price, but the nagging voice in his mind reminded him that nothing with the ritualist was ever finished. As Collins made his way to the ritualist's house, the weight of fear pressed down on him. The ritualist was waiting for him, standing at the door like a shadow. He ushered Collins inside without a word, and the heavy air of incense and ancient power greeted him. The same eerie atmosphere that had surrounded their first meeting hung thick in the room. "Sit," the ritualist commanded, his voice sharp. Collins complied, his heart pounding in his chest. The ritualist didn't waste time. He pulled out a piece of old, yellowed parchment and placed it in front of Collins. "This," the ritualist began, his voice low, "is the list of your next sacrifice. But this time, Collins, you must choose carefully. You've come far, but the gods demand more. You will give up one of your own blood." Collins' breath caught in his throat. No. Not again. His mind raced. Hadn't he already paid the ultimate price? Jennifer, the one he loved most, was gone. Yet here was the ritualist, pushing him further into darkness. "You have a choice," the ritualist continued, his eyes locking onto Collins. "Your grandmother, your mother, your sister, or your wife. One of them will be your next sacrifice. You must decide. You know the rules. Once you make the choice, there is no going back." Collins couldn't breathe. His mind spun. His grandmother, the one who had raised him with love and care. His mother, the woman who had given him life. His sister, the one who had always been by his side, through thick and thin. His wife, Jennifer's memory still haunted him, but what would his wife mean to him if he sacrificed one of the others? The ritualist's eyes glinted with something dark, almost predatory. "You will leave now and come back on Friday with your choice. You will bring your decision to me, or else." The ritualist's voice trailed off, his gaze turning even colder. "Or else, Collins, you will see something bad. Something you cannot even imagine." Collins's heart raced. Something bad, the words echoed in his mind, filling him with terror. What could be worse than what he had already done? And yet, he knew the ritualist wasn't bluffing. The gods demanded their due, and Collins had no choice but to obey. The ritualist didn't give him any more time. "Go now. Think carefully. Decide wisely." Collins stood, his legs weak beneath him. As he left the ritualist's house, the weight of his decision pressed heavily on him. His family, his flesh and blood, how could he choose between them? How could he pick one over the others? But the threat hung over him like a storm cloud. If he didn't return with his choice, there would be consequences, terrible, unimaginable consequences. The next few days felt like a blur. Collins couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of his family. Each one had been a part of his life, had shaped who he was. Yet, only one could remain. He had to choose. Each sunrise mocked Collins with the same unspeakable question. Which one will you give to the gods? He walked through his life like a ghost, pausing to stare at the four women who had been his home in different seasons. He didn't speak much. But he watched. And remembered. The gods had asked for blood, but not just any blood. This time, it had to be one of his own. And so, he stood at the edge of madness, caught between gratitude and guilt, legacy and loyalty. Grandmother. She sat on the old cane chair outside her flat, her wrapper tied just below her chest, her Bible open on her lap. Her hair was now fully gray, her body smaller than he remembered from childhood, but her presence still calmed the air. She had raised him from age 5, when his mother collapsed from exhaustion after a market brawl. Collins remembered how his grandmother would carry him on her back, hum hymns from her Anglican youth, and lay beside him during thunderstorm nights. One evening, when he had typhoid, she boiled herbs through the night, whispering Igbo prayers. He remembered crying once, thinking he would die. She had slapped his chest lightly and said,
Nkem, you will live long. You will live for all of us.
That night, Collins did live. But now, he felt he might be the one to end her life. He watched her now, lips moving in silent prayer, and something inside him broke. The mother. His mother had always walked with purpose. Slipper slapping the sand with urgency. Chin high. Voice strong. A trader by dawn, a nurse by night, a mother in between. She sold tomatoes, sometimes plantains and bitter leaf, anything that kept food on the table and her son in school. When market women tried to cheat her, she would square her shoulders and say, I'm not your junior. My son is going to become somebody. She was right. He became somebody. But at what cost? He remembered seeing her once, bleeding from her thumb where a knife had slipped. She didn't stop cutting onions. Blood is just sweat with color, she had said. She didn't know he remembered that. She didn't know he now had to decide whether her blood would open the next gate of wealth. He stood outside her shop that week, unseen. Watching her haggle with laughter in her voice. Watching her wipe sweat off her brow. Watching her count coins to buy biscuits for her neighbor's child. And he wondered, what kind of monster kills the woman who bled so he could breathe? The sister. Younger by 3 years, but always wiser with words. Chichi had fire, quiet, stubborn fire. When they had nothing, she made everything feel like something. She stitched his torn uniforms. Fought off bullies in their old compound. She called him Big Bro even after he became richer than the entire street. He remembered one night when he had returned drunk and disoriented. She undressed him like a nurse, cleaned his vomit, and whispered, "Whatever is chasing you, I hope you find peace, Collins." She didn't ask where the money came from. She just stayed. Now, he couldn't bear to hear her voice. Couldn't look her in the eyes. She noticed. "Are you okay?" she asked one day, touching his shoulder. "You've been so quiet lately." Collins nodded, but his lips trembled. She didn't know the gods were watching her too. The wife? She wasn't Jennifer. But she didn't try to be. Jennifer had been love. First love. Wild love. Sarah was something else, healing in human form. When he married her, he was already lost. Drenched in money, but hollow inside. He warned her, "I'm not a good person." But she stayed. She stayed through the cold spells, the mood swings, the sleepless nights when he would bolt upright screaming Jennifer's name. She didn't ask. She just cooked, cleaned, prayed, waited. He had pushed her to another flat. Said he needed space. She didn't protest. But every Sunday, she would still bring him okra soup and pounded yam with a small note. "I made it for you. You don't have to eat it." Sometimes he didn't. But the food never stopped coming. She didn't deserve this. Not after everything. Not when she was finally teaching him how to feel again. Each woman had paid for his becoming. One with her time. One with her blood. One with her faith. One with her quiet, undying love. And now the gods wanted him to sacrifice one of them for another round of wealth. For more influence. For more things he could never hold on to. He found himself weeping alone at night, walking barefoot across his mansion floors, whispering their names under his breath. Mama, Mom, Shishi. Sarah. His tongue could not choose. His heart was fractured glass. He thought of running. Of confronting the ritualist. Of refusing the gods. But he knew better. This game had no exit button. Only escalation. And time was running out. Collins made his decision. His face had become a map of sleepless nights and haunted silence. The weight of choosing had pressed him into something hollow. And so, in the stillness of that Friday evening, he whispered the unthinkable to himself. She is not blood. I can always marry again. Sarah. The one who had stood beside him even when he gave her every reason to walk away. The one who still cooked, still prayed, still came every Sunday with okra soup and silence. He could not sacrifice his mother, who had bled for his education. He could not give the gods his grandmother, who had been his lullaby in stormy nights. He could never hand over Chichi, his sister, his fiercest protector. But Sarah. He didn't want to say it out loud, but the thought hovered. She was convenient. So he returned to the ritualist. The air in the ritualist's shrine smelled of camphor, rum, and ash. The old man sat bare-chested, his chalk-lined face unmoving. She must eat it before midnight, the ritualist said, handing him a small black pouch filled with something that glowed faintly red. Once the food touches her belly, her life will become yours again. The gods will be satisfied. Collins took the pouch with trembling fingers. That evening, he went to Sarah's flat with a bowl of her favorite, yam porridge with smoked fish. But Sarah didn't open the door immediately. She had ended a strange phone call in the morning. Her pastor had called out of the blue. Sarah, the Lord showed me something. There is danger near you. Don't eat anything today. Fast and pray for 3 days. She didn't understand it fully, but the conviction in the pastor's voice shook her. When she finally opened the door, Collins stood there with the bowl, smiling weakly. I brought you something, he said, holding the food forward. I'm fasting today, Sarah said quietly. My pastor called. He said I should pray. The atmosphere changed. What do you mean you're fasting? Collins asked, his voice rising. I just feel I should listen to him, she said, sensing his agitation. Do you respect me at all? Collins snapped. Me or your pastor? Who is your husband? Sarah blinked. For a moment, there was silence between them. Then she softened. I will eat it, Collins. Just not now. Let me finish my prayers first. He stared at her, nodded stiffly, and walked away. Inside, Sarah put the bowl in the fridge. Then she knelt by her bedside and continued praying, hands trembling, heart unsettled. Outside, the clouds gathered. It started with a wind that shook the trees like angry spirits. Then thunder cracked across the sky, not once, not twice, but in 3 rapid, violent roars. Somewhere far but not too far, the ritualist shrine caught fire. Witnesses said lightning struck it directly, splitting the hut in 2. Collins, who had just reached the roadside to enter his car, collapsed without warning. His last word was not Sarah's name. It was a cry, raw, startled, final. The next day, the family mourned. People gathered, cried, asked questions. But no one had answers. Only Sarah sat silently, fasting still, trembling with what she now knew was divine intervention. They buried Collins next to his father. The community buzzed with versions of the story. Some said it was heartbreak, others said it was madness, a few whispered of spirits and betrayal. But those who truly listened saw the truth. That love is not always loud. That sacrifice must never be demanded from the innocent. That the blood we choose to protect may be the very test that defines us. And Sarah. She never stopped praying. But now, her prayers had less to do with deliverance, and more to do with discernment.